I believe everybody can teach you something. I mean, you've taught me 5 things already that I didn't know before we started this, and I appreciate that.
You hit it on the head, though. Everybody can teach you something. That's one of the things. So I'm very involved in martial arts, and there's always been this rigid, well, this is the best, this, right?
Like schools of thought.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, go and you'll learn something. You can get something. If you go with the intention of, I'm going to learn something today. And it may not even have anything to do with what you were going to learn about. But you go, I'm going to take something from this seminar or this class or whatever. You'll get something.
Sure.
It may not be the huge, mind-blowing thing, but you bring one little tidbit back and those little tidbits add up, right? And they build your repertoire and they change your worldview of, well, I shouldn't just only do this. I should expand and do these other things to make myself better and be more well-rounded and, really open up your mind. And you hit it on the head right there when you said that.
Yeah. And you can learn something from everybody, but you also, like you said, you can learn something from every situation. So, one of the things that one of my mentors said early on, and I thought at the time, I was like, man, I mean, this is self-serving for you to say this, but I believe it now. He goes, it's the student's job to learn from the master.
Yeah.
And I go, do I believe that? I don't know. And the more I think about it and the more I experience life, it's what you're saying. You could go to jiu-jitsu class and the teacher can be great, or maybe they could be pretty bad at their job. But if you as the student blame it on the teacher, no matter what category of life we're talking about, well, they didn't teach me very well, so I didn't learn a whole lot. No, you can always learn something, like what Chief Tracy's saying here. You could always learn something, any situation. I like to go into, if I pay $20,000 to some crazy fancy business course, right? And you're going for 2 days and you paid all this money. Even if it's a bad course, you can learn $20,000 worth of information in that 2 days if you search for it.
If you search for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the great things that too, when you look at, and I'll use jiu-jitsu because
my son's taking jiu-jitsu and my daughter, they're 7 and 4 years old. So I would love to learn more about jiu-jitsu.
As you move up the ranks, right? And there's these different people are like, oh, most people quit at blue belt, right? Okay. That's usually when you see people leave. They're like, man, because it's hard. And it takes a long time to go up through the ranks. But when you get, and then they're like, oh, I'm a purple belt. Oh, I'm a brown belt. And they're like, yeah, I'm there. And then I'm a black belt. I'm there. And I'm like, no. Now our journey's just started, right? Because there's so much more to jiu-jitsu and the martial arts world than if you think you've reached your point at black belt, you're wrong. You're just now starting your learning process over. And then you can learn from your students that come in, right? I mean, you should be learning things from the students that come in as well. They'll come up with a different perspective and you're like, why didn't I look at it that way? Or
you're never at full mastery.
You bring in, trust me, especially now with the way jiu-jitsu's gone, not going to complain too much, but right, there's not much, they don't work much from takedowns, getting people, for me to really use my jiu-jitsu on the ground, I got to get you there.
Right.
So
practically,
so you got to be bringing in
scenario.
some Division I wrestlers and showing takedowns, right? Bring in some judo people and be working takedowns. Guess what? You may get punched in the face. Well, let's bring in some people that do striking and let's start implementing all of those things. I think Bruce Lee really got it right. Take what is useful and you throw out what isn't useful, right? But you have to remember as well, when you are the instructor, when you're the one, you want to make sure that your students are learning the things that you know, but you don't want them to learn your biases.